Hey folks, if you're doing hardcore work on your laptop, anything that involves heavy CPU, RAM, or video card load, you're going to find that thermal throttling is limiting the performance you can get from your laptop. Today we're going to show you and test out a bunch of different laptop cooling pads and see how much of a boost in performance they really give. Today, as you saw, this is a gadget series video. If you're enjoying these or you like my photography ones, please do give this a like and subscribe to the channel. We've got lots more content coming. So essentially, if you're not familiar with thermal throttling, let me just give you a little overview on it. First of all, have you ever seen a laptop cooling pad? Here's one.
I actually have one. I haven't used it in a while, but I have one. It's really old. It's probably like 2 years old, but I bought it. And it actually works pretty well because I have a really old version of like the Mac.
Yes, okay, so whatever laptop you're using, I mean, people who are really into performance, they're using desktops. I think it's fair to say. Controlling the heat in a laptop is really difficult. If you've got a Crapbook Pro, then the aluminium design is reasonably good at dispersing heat. But the long and the short of it is, once things get hot, the computer will throttle the power and not give all that it has to give to make sure it doesn't overheat and do damage to itself. It's a self-preservation measure. So you'll hear, I've got a little app installed here that measures how fast my fans are going and what the CPU temperature is. Now, I thought these things are so outdated and kind of, there's no need for them anymore, but an IT engineer friend of mine sent me an email saying along the lines of, hey, I realized that throwing one of these $10 devices in, I was getting better performance when I was doing video editing. So I thought, when I'm in studio, why not give it a try? So, of course, being me, I got in quite a few to test out and show you guys the results.
Okay.
So we've gotten in 10 or 11 of them. I went for a range in terms of price, brand that I recognized, and features, but essentially they're all just filled with fans, a fan or lots of fans that's designed to give you more airflow. Now, I actually did a trial run of the tests on this earlier and found that using a small file, doing a video compression, which is really hardware intensive, we weren't seeing enough of a difference because essentially what I'm finding on my Mac is anyway, and different computers will handle it differently, but essentially it will work as hard as it can, but once it gets to its limit, which seems to be around 72 degrees Celsius, which is like 160 Fahrenheit, that's when the fans hit maximum and it really throttles. You can see the frames per second that it's doing in video rendering goes down substantially. And when I used all the different pads, it was essentially how long could this fan keep it from getting to 72 when it would throttle. That's the impact on performance. So all of the different pads, it eventually gets up to 72 and still throttles. It's just how long can it hold it from getting to that point, and then how effective is this? So let's say, just making it up, that by itself, once this gets to 72 degrees, it's only using 80% of what it has available so it doesn't overheat. Maybe with this extra fan, it can use 85% and stay at 72 degrees or 160 Fahrenheit and thereby get the job done quicker. So rather than telling you the overall temperature that each one hits as a maximum, all we really need to know is how the speed that they can redo this video clip and the average frames per second that it manages to achieve. So FYI, I'm compressing a 4K video that's, I don't know, about 8 minutes long using Handbrake with a heavy compression and the same settings each time. With no cooler pad, it did it at an average frame rate of 35.85 frames per second. It took 4 minutes and 33 seconds to finish it. And FYI, it got to 72.81 degrees Celsius, which is about 162-ish Fahrenheit. So we're gonna go through every one of these, test all of that out, and then we'll give you our overall test findings and any notes on the build quality and the prices of each unit so you know which one to buy. And if you want to skip it, you can just check it in the caption below. Wow, your handwriting is really nice.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome back, folks. So it's actually a couple of days later. We've got our tallied results. I've actually already given away a couple of the units to Steph and Joey and also to Chris, but we're going to run through all of the results here, and there are actually some surprises. But if you want to skip ahead and just see the winners, check out the caption below. Now, as I said, I bought all of these from Amazon. There's no affiliation with any of the brands. These are just our honest findings in terms of results. And it does seem to bear out my theory that once you get over that 70 degrees Celsius, the computer starts thermal throttling and you see the frames per second dropping rapidly. So with no fan on, the computer averaged 35.85 frames per second, okay? So that's our benchmark, 35.85. The worst performer was the Not Fancy LOTFANCY. Basically, just don't get it. It's cheap, but it's not worth it. 12 bucks, it's noisy, it's only got one fan. The only good thing, and this is one thing that Steph liked, was it does have a place to tuck the cable away and it's attached so you won't lose the cable.
Yep.
That's it. I offered it to her, she didn't want it, surprisingly.
I mean, it's a lot fancy. It's not that fancy.
It's not fancy at all. Let's just run through. There's a couple of just whatevers in there. The Targus Chill Mat. Again, cheap. It's the same price.
Mat.
Yeah, I got it. Don't tell me what to do. One fan, not really effective. I'm surprised Targus would put their name to something like that. It wasn't that well built. I would skip it. Normally, to be honest, if I see something that has Targus on it, I'm assuming it's going to be high quality. For me, that wasn't great. The B-Bomb. This was 36.24 in terms of frames per second. That's up from, 35.85 with none. Only 10 bucks. It's noisy if you have it closed, but it was okay if you stood it up. It's got ports on both sides. It's got two fans. It's in camo. Ooh. And it's now at Joey's house.
Yeah.
The AICHESON vacuum. Now, this guy was actually a surprise. It did a good job, and actually this lip did really suck on the back like a pilot fish or something, and with this extending out, you could have it under and kind of even elevated so it will hold its own weight.
And it's really light.
But having said that, it was number 8 in terms of results at 36.76. Next, the Lisp. That was 22 bucks. It had 6 fans considering, the size. It was reasonably quiet for 6 fans. 37.57. The Cooler Master, 37.68. Surprisingly, it's under 20 bucks, performing pretty well. The Tree New Bee. This one is this guy. I actually really like it because it's got a bee on it.
I know, it's so cute.
And it's blue and it's height adjustable, but it wasn't right at the top. That was number 5 at 38.11. 4 fans, 2 dials, so you can, for example, put the back ones on high, which is where most of the electronics are in my computer, and the front ones on low. Next up, the Power Plus, that white non-adjustable one, actually did a bit better, 38.45 frames per second. Only 13 bucks, but it was quiet, but it's cheaply made and no adjustments really. The AICHESON, this guy, that's the same brand as the little vacuum one. 38.52, 20 bucks, height adjustable, terrible interface. They're gonna break. The buttons are just tacky and kind of rubbish, but it did a decent result.
I thought I broke it.
Wouldn't surprise me. Next up, that was the AICHESON, which is the HAVIT.
The HAVIT is...
Is that the one you took?
No.
Oh. Number 2 is...
Oh, you do have it.
The HAVIT. Steph. That's a bad Steph.
This one actually does look kind of cool though.
5 fans. Now, one thing I noticed though that I don't love about the B, but I do like about these ones, this central one for a Mac at least works well if you're leaning the computer up to not have it getting in the way. When you've got this one, but if you have those, when you're typing, your elbow's hitting them because they're a bit higher, sorry, your wrist, it's a bit higher than the computer. This one's right above the mouse, so you're never resting your arms there, and when you go to use a mouse, your wrist is up. So that's actually a more comfortable design, even though it's one single one in the center. So although I love the Tree New Bee design, I think I have to personally go with this one, considering that design thing. But number 1 in terms of results, with a dazzling 38.82 frames, is the THERMALTAKE. It is by far the most expensive. It is complicated. It is, to be honest, mostly unnecessary. If you want the best that's probably going to last the longest, I would say this is it. It does still have an interface, but it feels quality, unlike the HAVIT, sorry, the AICHESON. So, you know, if you're just going to get one, that is the best performance and it probably looks the best. I personally would choose this one though at $10 cheaper than this one. Having said all of that, we actually thought, what if we paired things up? So I really was taken with the B design, and when I went back on the page, I found a lot of people purchased it and the vacuum as a combo. So we thought, let's actually try that as well. So we tried the B and this guy together, and the HAVIT and this guy together, and they both actually got over 40 frames a second and stayed significantly quieter. Significantly cooler, and just the performance was right up. So personally, I would go with the B, which is $21, or the HAVIT, which is $30, with this guy, which is $10, coming in at either $31 or $40, instead of getting this one, which is $40 on its own. The combo of them worked really well. You just stick this onto the fan and it's helping pull the air out, whilst these ones are helping to cool the bottom. So interesting result, and I have to say, after doing this, we actually did the test last week, came back in today to film the conclusion. I've been using the B and the HAVIT and this one, and I really can tell the difference. When I'm exporting, say, 1,000 photos from a shoot, and you hear your computer roaring up like a jet engine, it really seems to control the temperature and maintain a better performance for longer before that throttling kicks in. So if you're a heavy user of laptops, I really think these could be useful. They do seem kind of hokey, but if you're stuck at a desk anyway, you might as well cool them out, because everything but the very best gaming laptops don't have great cooling in them to maintain their optimal performance. Now, you had your choice of any. I let you choose whatever you wanted, and what was it you actually ended up choosing?
The Cooler Master? The Cooler Master.
Okay,
yeah.
And that was because it had the cable packed away, and it was probably the smallest and lightest of the good performing ones.
I mean, regardless, I have like an old MacBook Pro 2012.
Not paying you enough, clearly.
But I mean, the fan works. I mean, usually it sits on my lap and my laptop just burns my legs, and I'm just oh my god, and it's just hot, and I'm
that's not good for you, right?
Yeah, I know it isn't, but if I have nowhere else to put it.
Okay, so now you have a fan.
The fan helps.
So the fan will melt onto your legs instead.
Yep.
Excellent. So Steph's pick, the Cooler Master. Mine, I think, would have to be the HAVIT, and as a combo, probably the B and the AICHESON vacuum fan, or the HAVIT and the AICHESON fan. But for single unit top performance, it was the THERMALTAKE. This is probably dragging on a bit. Thanks for sticking around, folks. I hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you soon.